Just took a bit longer to find my way home. Chapter 9, New Friend. It was a nice Sunday afternoon. Maddie was out getting some groceries, leaving Sonic and Tom at home. It started out the same as yesterday. Sonic had woken up, but waited for someone else to get up before leaving his room. Hearing Tom enter the kitchen, he had walked out for breakfast. Tom had made him a smoothie for breakfast this time. Maddie had woken up not too long after. Sonic was eager to know what they would be doing today. Right after breakfast, Maddie had to leave to get groceries. Now Sonic was sitting on the couch. Sonic had mentioned baseball to the man during a conversation during breakfast, so now he was waiting for whatever the man was getting from his room. Not too long later, he came down with a binder in hand. It looked old. Tom sat down next to Sonic and opened the binder. Sonic's eyes went wide in shock.
Are those baseball cards?
Yep. When I was your age, I collected them and had a few friends I would trade with.
Can I?
Tom nodded and handed the binder to the young teen. Sonic slowly looked through each card. He didn't know who these people were, but the cards looked super cool.
Have you ever played baseball before?
Yeah, the town my cave was near, there was a baseball field. I learned how to play by watching games. After everyone left, I would play by myself.
Thankfully, Tom didn't ask for clarification on what playing by himself meant. Sonic wasn't sure what excuse he would be able to come up with. Tom opened his mouth to speak, but was caught off by the sound of his phone ringing.
I'll be right back,
he said, patting the hedgehog on the head. Sonic flinched before immediately melting into his hand. Tom got up and grabbed his phone where he left it. He leaned against the kitchen counter as he checked to see who was calling. It was Maddie. Tom answered it.
Hello?
Tom, we have a bit of a problem.
What is it?
Rachel's coming over for dinner tonight.
Tom held in a groan. Right. He had forgotten, but the situation sunk in. He realized what the real problem was.
Sonic.
Yeah.
Tom sighed and rubbed a hand down his face. Well, they weren't going to throw the hedgehog out for the night, and they couldn't just cancel the dinner. They had this planned for a while. But they would try and figure something out. They would have to let Sonic know as well.
We'll figure something out. I'll let Sonic know.
All right, I'll be home soon. Love you.
Love you too.
And then Tom hung up. He placed his phone in his pocket and took a second to process everything. He pushed off the counter and walked back to the couch where Sonic was, talking to himself as he looked over all the cards meticulously, and at a pretty impressive speed as well.
Sonic?
Huh? Oh, hey, Tom.
Sonic said, looking out from the cards and facing the adult with a smile.
Hey, Sonic.
Sonic's expression fell almost immediately as Tom hesitated.
Nothing's wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. But Maddie's sister is coming over for dinner tonight.
Oh, do you need me to leave?
No, we're not going to kick you out or make you leave. We're gonna have to figure out something, though.
Sonic found it and closed the binder of baseball cards.
I can just stay in my room tonight. I can have dinner later. I won't make noise or anything. I promise.
Sonic said and even crossed an X over his heart. Tom shrugged.
That works. Will you be okay, though?
Sonic wouldn't admit it out loud, but he was touched that Tom was asking how he felt about the situation, as if he was really a part of this household. Like he was part of their No. He shouldn't get ahead of himself. He may have known Tom and Maddie for a majority of his life, but the two adults, they had only known him for 3 days. He realized he hadn't answered Tom's question yet.
Yeah, it's fine by me.
Alright, we should probably clean the house before Rachel and Jojo come by.
Whoa, we? Who's we?
Sonic asked with a smirk as they placed the binder on the coffee table.
You live here too, kiddo. Have to help pitch in.
Tom said, rubbing the hedgehog's quills again. Sonic pressed further into the man's hand as he rolled his eyes.
Fine. Can't believe you're forcing a guest to do your housework.
Tom shook his head with an amused smile. Sonic immediately missed Tom's touch as he brought his hand back down to his side.
It won't be long. How about a deal?
Sonic jumped off the couch and followed Tom down the hall.
I'm listening.
Tom opened a small closet and grabbed a broom and duster.
If you do a good job of cleaning, you can have an extra piece of whatever dessert Maddie buys.
Sonic brightened at the idea of dessert.
Heck yeah, you got it, Tom.
And so they started in the living room. As Tom dusted, Sonic was using the broom and dustpan.
Who was that other person you mentioned earlier?
Jojo?
Yeah,
Rachel's daughter. She's a sweet kid. She's around your age, actually.
Sonic hummed in response. He never interacted with anyone his age. In Green Hills, he could only watch the kids from afar. He had never had a friend his age before. He wondered if he and Jojo could be friends if he wasn't an alien hedgehog and having to hide. Sonic wondered about a lot of things. What would have happened if Long Claw never died? What would have happened if he never had that explosion of emotion in the forest? If he had never gotten caught by the doctor? If he had never escaped the facility? If Tom and Maddie never left Green Hills?
You okay over there, bud? Kind of quiet.
Tom said as he dusted the TV.
huh? Oh yeah, I'm fine. What's Rachel like?
Sonic asked, quickly trying to keep the conversation off of himself. Tom let out a huff. Sonic couldn't help but laugh.
Is she that bad?
She thinks I'm going to cheat on Maddie.
You? Cheat on Maddie? Never!
She doesn't believe me. But she's just paranoid, and it does come out of a place of concern, in a weird sort of way.
How so?
It isn't my place to tell exactly, but let's just say that Rachel's husband, now ex-husband, wasn't as loyal to her as I am with Maddie.
Sonic immediately got the idea and nodded.
Yikes, that must have been rough.
It was. But like I said, it comes out of a place of concern for Maddie. But since the move here, she's been a bit nicer. Maybe it's because she can see Maddie more often now.
Do you have any siblings?
Nope. You're looking at an only child right here.
Tom said and pointed at himself dramatically. The hedgehog laughed at the man's antics, and so the conversation veered off from there. Tom talked a bit about his family and his childhood. Sonic completely listened. It wasn't long before they finished cleaning the entire house. Sonic inspected Tom's work with narrowed eyes. He swiped a finger against the top of a shelf. He brought his finger close. Tom watched on, amused.
I must say, quite the impressive dusting skills.
Thanks. Good work.
Tom said. Sonic grinned at the praise. That moment, Maddie came in through the front door.
Hi, Maddie. Look at how clean the house is. I did most of the work, by the way. That's why it looks so nice.
Don't listen to him.
Tom said playfully, pushing the hedgehog. Maddie laughed.
Everything looks great. Tom, could you help me unload the rest of the groceries?
Sure.
And the rest of the day went by rather quickly. After Tom and Maddie finished unloading the car and putting the food away, they all had lunch. Then they settled on the couch for a movie before Maddie and Tom began preparing dinner. Sonic helped out where he could. Around 6 o'clock, a car pulled up to the house. Sonic assumed it was Jojo and Rachel.
Sonic.
Sonic walked into the kitchen. Tom handed him a plate of food. Sonic took it gratefully.
Thanks, but I thought I wasn't joining you guys for dinner.
I'm not gonna let you go until 8 o'clock to have dinner. Can I trust you not to make a mess in the bedroom?
Sonic nodded quickly.
You got it done, Tom.
Before Tom could even question it, Sonic walked off to his bedroom. Ozzy followed him into his room. He patted the dog on the head and sat down on the floor. Ozzy sniffed the plate before lying next to the hedgehog, patiently waiting for some food. Sonic offered the golden retriever a piece of broccoli. The dog eagerly ate it and gave the hedgehog a few kisses in return. Sonic laughed and gently tried to push the dog away. Sonic looked down at his dinner and grabbed his fork. Sometimes he still couldn't believe the food he was eating was warm and freshly made. Steak and mac and cheese, broccoli, and cinnamon apples. He felt like a king. Maybe Rachel and Jojo should come by more often if this is what Maddie and Tom cooked when guests come over. Just as he took his first bite, he heard unfamiliar voices, Rachel and Jojo. Sonic continued to eat, his ears twitching as he tried to listen to what they were saying. It felt like a hand was squeezing his heart. It reminded him of Green Hills, stuck on the outside, never allowed in. It was only made worse when he heard laughing. Sonic finished his dinner and placed his empty plate on the nightstand. Even if he could stay with Tom and Maddie forever, he wouldn't be able to live a normal life. He couldn't be a normal kid. He couldn't go to school. He couldn't play baseball. He couldn't make friends because people didn't like different. Ozzy whined gently nudged him, seeming to sense that something was wrong. Sonic smiled sadly and hugged the dog. The sound of footsteps got louder. Sonic looked up and felt horror fill his being as the door handle to the room was turned.
Ozzy?
A young voice called. The dog barked and left Sonic's hold. A young girl fully opened the door. Sonic quickly stood up and ran into the closet, accidentally shutting the door too hard. He heard the door to the bedroom close. His heart beat against his ribcage. He was freaking out. He needed to calm down. The last thing he needed was to get so worked up that he began to spark.
Is someone else here?
The voice called out curiously. He heard the girl get closer and closer.
Please don't come near. Please don't come near. This is it. She's going to see me. Scream and I'll be...
The door opened. Sonic could do nothing but stare at who he assumed was JoJo with wide, terrified eyes. She seemed frozen in place. Her mouth opened and closed a few times, most likely unsure of how to react. What he wasn't expecting was for her to get down on her knees and approach him slowly and quietly, as if he were a wild animal. And he supposed to her he was.
Don't be afraid. My name's Jojo. I won't hurt you.
She gently reached out to pet him. She quickly touched his head before pulling back as if she had been burned.
Wow, you're soft.
She said, getting closer and rubbing his fur. It was a little humiliating, but it felt nice at the same time.
How'd you get in here?
I live here, currently.
JoJo's eyes went wide as dinner plates, and a bright smile stretched across her face.
You can talk?
Sonic nodded.
What are you?
A hedgehog.
Are you an alien?
Sonic nodded again.
That's so cool. Did Uncle Tommy and Aunt Maddie save you?
Yeah, but you can't tell anyone I'm here. I'm supposed to be hiding.
Oh, well, my lips are sealed.
She said, making a zipping motion over her lips.
What's your name?
Sonic.
JoJo got comfortable on the floor in front of him.
Where are you from?
A planet called Mobius, but I haven't been there since I was 3.
How old are you?
I'm 13.
Really? I'm 12.
Sonic couldn't help but relax and smile at her enthusiasm.
This is so cool. I never met an alien before.
And she asked him mundane questions, and they slowly got to know each other. However, their conversations were cut short when Rachel called JoJo, telling her that dessert was being served.
It was nice meeting you, Sonic.
JoJo said, standing up, but she quickly paused before getting back down on her hands and knees and pulling the hedgehog into a quick hug.
Bye, Sonic.
She said, leaving a distraught and stunned hedgehog behind. Sonic felt as if time had stopped. Sonic couldn't remember the last time he had been hugged. Sonic slowly wrapped his arms around himself, trying to feel that sensation again. It was something he would do a lot when he was really lonely. Just wrap his arms around himself and pretend it was someone giving him a hug. He smiled to himself. About an hour or two later, JoJo and Rachel left, and he heard quick footsteps towards his room. Tom barreled in, seeming to look for him, but relaxed upon seeing him, still in the closet, his arms still wrapped around himself.
Hey, bud. I was worried about you when JoJo said she found Ozzy in here.
It's fine. Besides, JoJo was cool.
Tom paused, but he honestly shouldn't have been surprised. JoJo was a kind soul. It was no wonder that she ended up making friends with Sonic upon finding him. But Tom still noticed the hedgehog with his arms wrapped around himself. Tom frowned.
Hey, you okay?
Sonic nodded and hummed in response. He nods in front of the hedgehog.
You want a hug?
Sonic's eyes went wide in shock at the question. He was offering him a hug? He wasn't sure how to respond. His eyes were growing misty without his permission. To avoid the embarrassment of shedding tears, Sonic just silently stood up and launched himself into the man's open arms. One thing that Sonic noticed about Tom's hug, as soon as the man embraced him, was that the hug was firm, as if the man's arms were strong enough to protect him from the bad things of the world. Sonic buried his face into the man's neck. It felt amazing. But he had to remind himself, this wasn't his dad. Even saying the word had his insides in knots. Why would this man want an alien son? What about when he discovered the secrets he was hiding from the man? What then? And suddenly, the hug felt more bittersweet than comforting. But Sonic realized that Tom wasn't letting go. He was waiting for Sonic to make the first move. And so, Sonic let himself remain where he was for just a few more moments longer. Eventually, he did let go, and Tom did so as well.
We saved you some dessert, and as promised, 2 servings.
Thanks.
Tom smiled and squeezed his shoulders before standing up and stretching his back, getting a few cracks.
Wow, you're so old.
Hey, I'll have you know I'm in my prime right now.
Yeah, prime time to put you in a nursing home.
Alright.
Tom said, playfully shoving the hedgehog. Sonic laughed as well and followed Tom into the kitchen for his dessert.